Good morning, everybody. You'll have to bear with me this morning because my voice a little scratchy at times. I'm not sure what the issue is. I'm hoping I'm not catching another cold, but it seems like the colds just keep coming, even though the weather in San Diego has been beautiful for as long as I can remember. Every day's been either 70s or 80s. But it is what it is. I guess it's a matter of germs. It doesn't matter what the weather's like out there. It just matters if you're being exposed to germs. And the thing about San Diego and working in the public like I do is that you get exposed to a lot of germs because a lot of people are traveling to this city to vacation here, to visit here. Plus, it's a military town. It's just a melting pot for germs. At any rate, I just want to go over a few of the hot players from yesterday's games. On screen is some of the top performers from last night. As you can see, Rudy Gobert at the top there, followed by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Yusuf Nurkic, Scotty Barnes. But I wanted to go over the guys who had the big 48-minute stats in particular, and we'll start off with Rudy Gobert of the Houston Rockets of this league. Gobert with a huge game last night. He only took 5 field goal attempts, but he scored 17 points on those attempts. He also pulled down 21 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks, and 4 turnovers. You'll take those 4 turnovers when you get 21 rebounds to go along with them and shooting like that. So Houston benefiting from a great game from Rudy Gobert last night. Another big performance by Julius Randle of the Guardians in this league. Randle with the big game, scoring 23 points on 19 attempts, but more importantly, he had 16 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, and 2 turnovers. He did that in 31 minutes of play. Great 48-minute numbers by Julius Randle of the Guardians. Other big games, especially on the 48-minute basis, Jalen Smith, the forward from the Dallas Mavericks of this league. Jalen Smith with a huge night. Even though he only played 25 minutes, he scored 16 points on 8 attempts. He had 11 rebounds. He had 1 assist, 2 steals, 1 block, and just 1 turnover. Another big game by Rui Hachimura of the Oklahoma City Thunder in this league. He played 26 minutes, but he scored 24 points on 14 attempts. He had 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, no turnovers by Hachimura. And I'll see if I can't get his name up there on screen. There he is, Hachimura, 25-year-old forward who plays for the Oklahoma City Thunder in this league. He plays for the Lakers in the NBA. Another big game to note last night, Carolina Copperheads guard Jalen Green, the 21-year-old, had 56 fantasy points per 48 minutes. He had 28 points on just 15 attempts, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 1 turnover. Jalen Green with the big game, just 22 minutes of play. And DeLon Wright is one of those role players. He had a big night last night in just 26 minutes of play. He scored 18 points on 5 attempts, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals. And that's something DeLon Wright always does, get you a lot of steals and just 1 turnover. Other big games of note, though, not purely based on the 48-minute stats. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 36 fantasy points last night. Yusuf Nurkic of the Guardians had 36 points. Scotty Barnes of the Houston Rockets in this league, 36 fantasy points. Domantas Sabonis of the Kings with 36 fantasy points. Nikola Jokic of the Carolina Copperheads, who are out to a good start, he had 35 fantasy points. Jason Tatum of the Houston Rockets, 31 fantasy points. The Rockets are doing well behind his play. The Guardians also with Julius Randle, their forward from the New York Knicks, 31 fantasy points last night. And that kind of rounds out the top performances. I wanted to go over some of the rookies as well. Big game by Azor Thompson last night, who scored 18 fantasy points in 37 minutes. As you can see there, Azor Thompson with the 18 fantasy points. Thompson had 6 points on 8 attempts, so he didn't shoot so well, but the rebounding was there. He had 15 boards, 3 assists, 1 block, and 2 turnovers in 37 minutes of play. Other rookies of note, Jaime Vaquez had 30 fantasy points per 48 minutes. He had 11 points on 5 attempts. He had 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, no turnovers, most importantly. Also, Brandon Podzium, a solid game on the 48-minute basis. He played 11 minutes, but he shot 3 attempts for 5 points. He had 1 offensive rebound and 3 defensive. He had 3 rebounds total, 2 assists, and no turnovers. Nick Smith, rookie guard from Charlotte, who plays for the Guardians in this league, he had a good game on a 48-minute basis, 55 points, fantasy points, for 48 minutes, but he only played 4 minutes in last night's game. He had 5 points on 3 attempts. He had 1 rebound, but most importantly, 1 steal to no turnovers, and that's why he had the solid game. Just in terms of big bulk points, Chet Holmgren, the rookie from the Golden State Warriors, with 17 fantasy points. We talked about Azor Thompson from the Carolina Copperheads, who were playing well. He had 18 fantasy points. He looks like he was a solid rookie pickup. Marcus Sasser of the Carolina Copperheads, also a solid rookie with 14 points. Mark Jones loves his young players. He drafts a lot of them. Jaime Vaquez with 13 fantasy points for Denver. Victor Wembanyama, always on the list. He had 11 fantasy points. He struggled maybe just a little bit. I have Wembanyama only scoring 17 fantasy points per 48 minutes. He had 14 attempts for 14 points, so not the greatest shooting, not really getting to the free throw line with those numbers, but he did have 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 block. He did turn it over 3 times in 30 minutes. A quick look at injuries of note. Tyler Hero is going to be out indefinitely for the Boston Celtics. Looks like Jamal Murray also out indefinitely for the Denver Nuggets. Terry Rozier of the Houston Rockets in this league out indefinitely with a groin issue. We have Walker Kessler, center from Utah and the Philadelphia 76ers in this league. He has an elbow issue. He's out indefinitely. CJ McCollum of the San Diego Saints out with a collapsed lung. Anthony Simons, of the Portland Trailblazers and the San Antonio Spurs in this league. He's out with a thumb surgery. And Wendell Carter has a finger issue. He is out indefinitely for the Oklahoma City Thunder in this league. Hot free agent performances last night include Malik Monk of the Sacramento Kings. He had 23.2 fantasy points. Caris LeVert of the Cleveland Cavaliers had 20 fantasy points. Alex Len, center from Sacramento, had 19. Bismack Biyombo, center from Memphis, with 18 fantasy points. Kobe White, guard from Chicago Bulls, with 14.6 fantasy points. Keita Bates-Diop, forward from the Phoenix Suns of the NBA, 14.3 fantasy points. Malik Beasley, guard from Milwaukee, also 14 fantasy points. Nickeil Alexander, guard of Minnesota Timberwolves in the NBA, 13 fantasy points. Jeremiah Robinson, forward. Jeremiah Robinson Earl, free agent forward in the NBA. He's one of those two-way players. He goes back to the D-League on a regular basis. He had 13 points last night. And rounding out the top 10 top performances from free agent players in this league, Trendon Watford with 12.9 fantasy points. Well, that'll be a wrap for today's show, November the 9th. Just a quick little look at the scoreboard, some of the big games before we go. San Diego is leading the Dallas Mavericks 141-121 tonight. Looks like we have a good game between the Copperheads and the Pistons, 144 to 122. Copperheads leading. Houston and Carolina Copperheads are in a shootout. Houston is leading 153 to 144. Houston also leading against the Los Angeles Guardians, 153-122. Williams' team is red hot right now. Of course, the Warriors doing well in their games. They lead Oklahoma City and the Los Angeles Clippers. The San Diego Saints are in a shootout with the Philadelphia 76ers. Tight game tonight. They lead 141-127 with one game left in the game period. Philadelphia over the Sixers, 127-118. That's a tight one. Poway Eagles leading the Sixers, 125. Not the Sixers, but the Celtics, 125-118. That is also a close game. And that will do it for the show, everybody. I plan to do these more often. I'm going to try to do them every day, covering hot players, free agents, injuries, and rookies, and maybe a quick rundown of the scoreboard. The new game period starts tomorrow. That is Friday. Get your free agent picks in by noon Pacific tomorrow if you want to sign anybody. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later.